Blessings, beautiful, glorious, beloved souls. Welcoming you all to another live stream here on Shekinah 3. For those that don't know me, my name is Rosa Ferraro. I'm a seer, healer, integrative spiritual counselor of Shekinah 3. And I would love to tell you a little bit about my story and how that story has played out to the Humanness Process protocol that I have put together like a beautiful spider in its cosmic web through life experiences where through my own lived traumas have brought in healing, and those healings have actually helped me be very present in my humanness. So it is a collection of my life's work, and in a lot of the beautiful work that I get to do with all you beautiful souls, I am able to share a process that I call block, integration, and freedom. So this is a 3-step process protocol that helps you to truly embody your humanness. And also it is a very structured formula that I've created that assists in guidance. You know, why is it so difficult for us to be really fully in the embodiment of our humanness, and in all of that feel? So this is a 3-step process. It is how I work as an integrative spiritual counselor, and the way that I utilize all this beautiful wisdom, information, inspiration that has been channeled through myself and through my relationships in all the other holistic therapies and beautiful souls of inspirations throughout my life, that has created this formula, and it therefore takes you to their a platform, to the platform that can then raise your consciousness into awareness that brings in what I call resolution, clarity, and ultimately the goal is freedom. Freedom. So without going into it too much, I do want to express that what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight is just a very brief description of how this protocol works. It is a protocol that in its development has given me an opportunity to ultimately become confident enough to understand the flaws that we carry, imperfections, those limitations, ancestral, baggage, trauma, whatever words you're choosing, it's a combination of our genetic makeup. It's the deep understanding that as human beings, there is so much more to the sabotager within ourselves. So what I'd like to share is the process of how I work and a little bit about the protocol and the structure that I teach. The idea is ultimately to give you more a visual explanation to why perhaps these deep core issues, pain, sufferings aren't shifting. And even when we are experiencing a shift within ourselves, so in other words, a shift to me means a form of resolution. You know, it's when you go through a really painful experience, for example, and finally through the trauma of it all, we surrender. And so a shift is when something has been really integrated. It's when it's been embodied. So the shift is there to take us into another state of consciousness and what we call the embodiment of wisdom. And that's an upgrade, isn't it? Really, it's a level of energy that we get to receive in our genetic makeup. And as we're receiving this new state of consciousness, what happens is it elevates our being and we become different people. You know, we become more enjoyable in our bodies. We get to receive more freely without the restrictions. So the block itself is really about the core issue, not necessarily in a present carnation, but also understanding the core issue ultimately can be generational, what I call family lineage, generational trauma, but it's ancestral lineage trauma. So this is a 6-session counseling format. And in the format, of course, you have access to all the beautiful other healers of Shekinah 3. Part of that is also the medicines that we make there, and also beautiful therapeutic body work, because we believe in the wholeness, the development of the mind, body, and spirit becoming more whole, integrated through the experience of a specific shift. It's not just on a spiritual level. So let me just talk a little bit more about the protocol and what I like to teach, for example. So let's go into a little bit about generational trauma, okay? So generational trauma in psychology is it's basically on the basis that within the family structures, there is unresolved emotions that stays in the genetic makeup of our psyche. So basically, the way I explain it more as a medicine woman is that if that's happening, then it's also possibly from a generation prior to our current incarnation. So it's the ancestral bones, it's the toxicity of those unprocessed emotions that run in our blood. And also, it's what we call the karmic imprint that we bring into our incarnation in order to transmute. So that's coming more from a spiritual aspect. So with the block, what we do is we go through what you're believing are your limitations, also the sabotager itself, And we have a structure where we write it down, and we write absolutely everything within the family system in this lifetime that has caused you either suffering or grief, or your parents suffering or grief. And we look at those blocks and we have a discussion. So, for example, in my family lineage, there was apathy. So apathy, the way it was experienced and the way that the stories played out in my family, was that there were definitely constructs that were not, that were very traditional, and they were respected regardless whether we wanted to kind of do it or not, really. Part of those constructs that caused a lot of the apathy was religion. And the other one was also based on the complacency and the dogma with, the idea of a woman's place, you know. And so I experienced growing up seeing a lot of the women, and also my mother, for example, staying within a limitation of her beliefs, her religious beliefs, her cultural beliefs, and her traditions as a woman, and not always fulfilling her passions and her desires. And within that, I also was conditioned with those beliefs and the suffering and the chains that also caused not only her, but also her children a lot of challenges emotionally and in all areas of our lives, right? So we write all that down. We write about the depression or the anxiety or the unworthiness, and we write all that down, and then we challenge it. So the challenge then is that we look at the integration process. The integration process is then we go into a sense of self, reflection. It's when we go within that beautiful sanctuary and we go with no judgment. And of course, it's from the higher perspective of the observer's mind. So we're observing these blocks, these, ancestral lineage traumas, and we reflect upon that and we learn how to integrate it. So when there is a lack of integration occurring, what actually happens is we're skipping the process of our humanness. The integration is the stillness, it is the quiet place within the sovereign, the darkness, the shadow aspects. And the shadow aspects are the blocks, right? But what we're doing is we're actually visiting this lineage trauma without judging it, without going into an attachment process. And that attachment can be a response that is very, ancestral, genetically coded. So that means there's a trigger point to it. So if I've got apathy, for example, and I experienced a lot of anxiety, panic disorder, depression, suppression of the female, there was constructs of religion in my block system, in my ancestral lineage, structure, then when I'm in reflection, I'm going to reflect upon the situation at core and say to myself, where's that in my family? And How has it played out in my current life? How is it playing out in my current life? Is there a passion repeating itself? And what is my accountability in all of this? Because if I'm receiving this awareness right now, it's also the ability to then open my heart to the observer's mind and go into inquiry. So inquiry is very much about the observer's mind. It's a form of mindfulness that comes from a beautiful, an incredible woman called Byron Katie. So I really love to just bring in her concept of inquiry. And it does, as she even says herself, involve deep reflection where we go within ourselves and we're completely 100% authentically honest. Is this true? So if I'm experiencing something like jealousy, and I have jealousy in the block system, and I look how it's played out in my family lineage line, and then I feel it in my body, and I'm watching and observing from this stillness, from this inquiry of higher self, higher perspective, without judgment, just stillness, as Byron Katie would beautifully describe. So I call it reflection because it's a little bit more involved. And what I mean by that is that in the reflection process, even though it is the same system as the inquiry, the work, as Byron Katie teaches us, what I'm asking you to do is to also not necessarily go through the same process that she teaches. What I'm asking you to do is to really look within yourself and then see the passion. Now that's the seer in me. So then I'm asking you to look at the passion. Okay, there's the jealousy. Okay, how's it played out in my current life? How do I experience it in my body? But also, what's the opposite to that belief system? What's the opposite approach, which is very cognitive behavioral therapy? What's the opposite approach? So then we write down the opposite approach, but then the opposite approach then has to reflect to the block system. Once we go through the integration process, that can take some individuals a while, because it does sometimes mean you have to go away and do some actual work to be able to embody the wisdom of the experience, the emotion itself. A lot of us don't understand what it feels like to truly have an open heart and to respond to life from a process of, yes, I'm living, yes, this feels this way, and it's exciting and it's wonderful, without judging it. We are conditioned to judge, we are conditioned to suppress, and we're conditioned to skip the process of integration. Because when we're integrating, there can be an abreaction. And what I mean by an abreaction is that the symptoms can feel very uncomfortable, like anxiety or a panic attack or depressive symptoms, insomnia. It can even be a physical disease, illness. However it's manifesting itself, there's something that's not in alignment. It's has has a painful effect on our dreams, our passions, our desires, and even sometimes just how we feel ultimately within our body. Some of us don't even feel our bodies. So the integration process, like I said, is where I kind of come in. We're using the inquiry, the observant mind, but also, even though I will give you this structure for you to take, and it's about empowerment. Having said that, the way that we work together is I help you through the integration process. Some of the ways that I help and guide is I use a lot of holistic therapies. Some of the therapies is matrix reimprinting. It's one of my favorites. Also, hypnosis. Sometimes it's incorporating, some flower essences. It can also be some body work with Martin Sorensen. He does incredible, powerful work, like cranial sacral therapy and also therapeutic Thai massage. And he also does a lot of beautiful alchemy, medicine work in formulas called spagyrics. So we incorporate a lot of spagyrics as well, and we also do herbal tea infusions that I personally formulate for you. So there's a combination of different things happening, especially during the integration process. It's organic and not necessarily has to be slow, but it's a process, because the body has to recognize the emotion, and when the body doesn't understand what's occurring, the doubt and the fear can intensify and again go back into the block system. So I usually will help you to transmute those emotions. We do a lot of somatic work, and I also incorporate a lot of breath work, and I do healings as a medicine woman. So my job also is to help you to transmute that energy, to help you move to the next process. So that's the integration process. Now, the next process from that is freedom. So freedom is where we kind of learn a little bit more about the golden child. When we're in freedom, what we're actually doing is we're in alignment. So we're freed up from the baggage, the state of duty, or the word I'm really... a burden is the word. So we're freed up from those, burdens as well. And so the burdens can then be lifted. There is a sense of beautiful wisdom that's been embodied, and then that leads to a new sense of being. That new sense of being is in relationship with the higher self, and the higher self is in relationship with the heart. So what we call that is a mind and heart coherence. In psychology, what's actually occurring is that there is a sense of embodiment. It's when we've released or resolved something within the subconscious that has finally been able to reach a form of integration. I like to use the word the embodiment of wisdom. That's what freedom really feels like to myself and to a lot of people that I work with. So then again, let's just go back. We've got the blocks, we've got the integration, and then we've got the freedom process. Now, this is just very simply described here, okay? The protocol itself also goes into the causal. As a seer, medicine woman, I like to teach people a little bit about the causal, the spirit, your essence, your template that has incarnated perfectly into this lifetime to really be part of what we're doing here. And so the template carries, vibration, an essence to it, what we call, it could be a particular guna, or it can be virtues, and it can also be a template of a teacher, a healer. So we learn a little bit more about the causal, and in its incarnation, it moves all the way into the deep core. Oops, apologies. There was poor connection, apparently. Okay, where were we? So yes, the causal's incarnated. It is a template that I like to share with you, and we learn a little bit more about that template. We learn how your essence, in its incarnation, as it's integrated into the Earth Star, the mother, her womb, it moves into the birthing. So the birthing is the body. Remember, the body itself is part of the goddess, the mother, but then you've got to think about what is the soul then, the embryo, marinated in. So we talk a little bit about the underworld. We talk about our ancestors. We talk about what might have affected or already perhaps distorted some of the beautiful fibers of your essence. And that usually occurs in the marination of the amniotic fluid in the womb. So, however, the mother, who holds this beautiful body, grows your body in her womb, how she's experiencing life itself, how she's experiencing her own trauma and belief systems. This is what's also occurring energetically in your body, your nervous system. And so that already is taking place. So that's also really important. We learn a little bit about that. We learn about, how that plays a huge role in the conditioning and the way that we form our sense of self even before we're birthed in our current lifetime. Part of that is also what I like to call the sovereign. So the sovereign is the golden child, but also what is your golden child? And we go into that as well. So, for example, my golden child, and I like to ask my clients to give a name. What is your golden child? This is your essence. So, for example, my golden child would be Gypsy Rose. So let's even think about Gypsy Rose. Like Gypsy Rose, that's a free spirit. It's about the beautiful, indigo in that. If you have any knowledge on starseeds, okay. I'm a heart guardian. I protect humanity. I'm all about love. I love to be challenged emotionally. I love to be challenged physically. I love to move. I love to dance. I don't like anything that is of an old, outdated, form of, conditioning, belief system, protocol, anything that really restricts or limits the human soul. So I'm what I call a light warrior. I'm someone that comes in and really works towards humanitarian rights. So there's a lot that I write under the golden child. This is the essence itself. So if we're looking at the block system and then we're looking at the essence of the golden child, there is a diagram that I show you. And in the center of the diagram of this human figure is the sovereign, the golden child. And then up here you've got the causal. But do we actually know who our essence is? Do we actually understand our gifts and our talents, that we're bringing into this lifetime from the Course itself? A lot of us don't. And so this is really what I wanted to talk to you about today. I wanted to really help you understand that even though a lot of us carry these great spiritual talents and gifts, and spirituality is a form of what I call radical acceptance. So radical acceptance is being fully, unapologetically yourself, truly in a bubble of love, and that bubble of love is the golden child. But if the golden child, this beautiful spiritual being, in all her strengths, in all her talents, in all her gifts that she's mastered from other lifetimes, cannot be fully in her gifts and in her talents, in her full expression, in other words, in a form of manifesting and co-creating, celebrating it, being in relationship with that, however she is experiencing that relationship in her reality, right? If she's not fully in that essence, then we have to look at the blocks. And this is kind of a protocol where we go back and forth, like I like to express, is the cosmic web and you're the spider. So it's a formula that takes you in so many different ways to really not mentally or intellectually analyze, but to feel from the heart center. And then there's a beautiful celebration of heart and mind coherence, because the intelligence then reaches a form of resolution within itself, because you become more in those aha moments. I get it. Right, I get it. Wow, that's profound. So this protocol helps with strengthening the golden child. It strengthens the essence. Anything that does not resonate with the essence itself belongs in the underworld. It belongs with the ancestors that are continuing to influence us in our way of being, thinking, feeling, and reacting, because it's in our blood. It's a form of toxicity, because if it's becoming a loop system and we don't go into reflection, if we don't understand our essence and we don't really go to the accountability of our own limitations by working through the shadow aspects of that, and that is our family lineage, ancestral trauma lineage, then what happens is we forget to become human. We skip the process of what it feels like to really embody and be in our full potential, which is ultimately what it feels like to be free of the burdens of our pain and of our suffering. There are absolutely so many ways to truly understand and love ourselves, but if we don't understand how to truly strengthen that in a human formula, and like I was saying, spirituality itself, a lot of us don't know how to be human. And I spent most of my life skipping the process of being human, because being in altered states of reality, exploring those realities, being part of the star system, and reaching out to my beautiful spiritual tribe, was also a trauma response, because being fully here and in my body, and going through the integration process of feeling, integrating, taking a form of accountability in what it was that I was co-creating here, was too difficult for me. It felt extremely petrifying. It was heavy on my body, and I didn't know how to be present in that. So again, it's very much about learning to really unfold fully in a very holistic approach, which is the cyclic motion of the mother, the goddess. Because remember, if we're incarnating into this physical form, the body itself only knows how to respond organically with the cycle here, and of the moon and of the sun, the water, the fire within, and the air. So it is very ancient knowledge. It's nothing new. It's very based on a lot of different psychological analyses. It's based on cognitive behavioral therapy. It's based on shamanic law. It's based on a lot of spirituality. But it's a formula that's human. It's a concept that is human. And it's really easy to understand it when it's written down. It evolves and is created through you, uniquely yours, and all I am there to do is help you to go through the process of understanding that at an innate level that resonates with your system, your way of really relating to what has happened, perhaps traumatically through life, or perhaps it's about a relationship within your own sexuality. Perhaps it's also about relationships and your connections with other people, or it's just plain emotional and physical disturbances that are causing a lot of suffering and pain and needing some form of peace or resolution. Whatever is playing out, this protocol is a formula that really helps you to move to different states of consciousness, where the observer becomes more strengthened in the essence. There is more freedom experienced, more joy experienced. It's more about the innate characteristics of your soul, and how that gets to play here in this world is really about you understanding the power of your free will. So as human beings, we do have that free will. And I really trust in the beauty of the flow of the transformational humanness process protocol that I have put together out of service, out of love. And I wanted to come on and just have a little chat with you all about it, and just to give you, a little bit of a sneak kind of view of how I work behind doors with my clients. So remember again, it is the block, integration and freedom. We also go into the sovereign, the golden child, the ancestral roots, which I call the root children, and the underworld. We also go up into the causal itself and understand more about our source, our purpose, our beautiful mastered gifts to the world, and in that formula, how it incarnates its power, understanding its purpose, and how that eventually gets integrated into the sovereign. And with all this comes alchemy. We go into the little alchemist. And the little alchemist is understanding what is your tree, what is your flower, understanding yourself from a form of nature itself, and really being creative with this. And it can be 1, 10, 20, 100. It can be a forest. Whatever is really resonating with you and perfect for you, we go there. And this is your formula. This is a protocol that you can take with you for the rest of your life. You share it with loved ones. You share it with your children. And it helps you to evolve into a more authentic sense of self, where you get to really strengthen the courage, the resilience, the power to be really in your truth, spiritual integrity, and to really have more clarity in your highest purpose. And that's not something most of us are conditioned to learn or do, because we skip the process of the integration. And that means that if we don't learn how to actually be accountable and responsible for what we are co-creating through our free will, then we're not going to embody, we're not going to reflect, we're not going to sit in that darkness, we're not going to really understand the ancient wisdom that our beautiful indigenous cultures have been trying to teach us. Because without that darkness, without the, going into the cave, as they say, we can't really embody the treasure itself. And the treasure itself is the embodiment of what it is that you've mastered. That's what you're here to share. That's what we call your light. So there is a dysfunction. We're working from a trauma-based dysfunction if we don't go to the integration. I'm hoping to offer more freedom in my work, and from a place that comes from love only. And I really hope that if you're watching this video, whoever you are, to give yourself an opportunity to really reflect on what I've spoken about today, and know that there are approaches that are more about self-empowerment. It's not about going to endless and constant therapy groups, or even going to see a healer every second week. It's about bringing that self-empowerment into a stronger foundation. It's rebuilding those beautiful strengths within yourself, and getting to know them, really getting to know your essence, and learning how to really trust it and create from that space. And that is the heart. Creating from the heart, and then it goes to the brain. Then it goes here. And then that's power, because the integration brings in a beautiful freedom. It's not just felt by you, which is this beautiful state of being, right? Peace, happiness, just presence itself, But it's also celebrated and felt by everyone that we truly love. And that's the whole purpose, isn't it? To be able to share our hearts from a place that is true, authentic. So let's celebrate our humanness, and let's not skip it. Let's learn to be human, especially beautiful starseeds out there, healers, innovators. It's difficult. We don't even know how to speak, right? So let's learn a process that's going to help us to do the work we're here to do, where there is self-love again. And we get to celebrate that self-love, because nothing or anything can shift that. It's just solid. It's a foundation. It's our basis, our truth. And anything that is off from the block system, immediately we have an awareness. Here we go. It's rearing its head again. And I'm going to sit in the integration process again. And I'm going to have a conversation with this without judgment. And I'm going to do this protocol. I'm going to do this work. Because I am worthy of freedom. And I'm worthy to express and share that freedom. And it really is that simple. It really is. So I hope that kind of, made sense. And I hope that it's giving you the hope, hope, and magic, beautiful magic to celebrate yourself, because we want that. And at Shekinah 3, that's what we do. We're a healing sanctuary, and we hold this space for those that truly are just brilliant. They're brilliant. And they may not come in believing that, but we know you're brilliant. And sometimes it just means that we need someone to hold the space so we can scream through that darkness. When you've been through that darkness, what I call the integrative space, where we go down into the deep roots of the golden child, what we call the root children down there, those beautiful golden children are just sharing something that is vital for our freedom. It is vital for our ancestors. As we heal, we also heal the ancestors. And we really celebrate the whole natural organic process of our goddess, the mother. That's what Shekinah is all about, So many, many blessings, beautiful souls. If you've got any questions or anything you'd like to know a little bit more about the Humanness, process protocol that I teach, if you'd love to really learn and be in the sovereign. This is not for those that are not awake. I have to stress that because it is work, and I will take you there, and I will hold the space for you, and we go through it together. Okay, so this is for those that really, really have had enough, and they want something that they can share with others as well, and they can hold this beautiful space for others. They do the work, but they're also able to hold the space for other people, and that is the whole purpose behind the protocol. It is about self-empowerment. Okay. We want you to come into self-realization that you are the guru. And I'm not here to save you. Okay, I'm just here to perhaps hold your hand and breathe through the process with you. And it is a magnificent journey, one that I've always felt very, very blessed to be really part of. So if you'd like to know more about it, it is for 6 sessions, and it is 6 weeks usually. It can be divided. Sometimes people do ask, due to their circumstances, if they can do the sessions on different days or different weeks. It is uniquely designed for your busy lives, but I do ask for six sessions, and that is because I want to take you all the way. I don't really like the idea of just coming for one session. There's no point. We're not going to get anywhere in one session. 6 sessions guarantees you to get to the next level, and you take this protocol, this structure, this to empower yourself. So just understand that self-empowerment is the way forward in all spirituality and in all healing. And I would like you to really step into that power and learn more. Learn more about what we do at Shekinah 3, because we really do care, you know. Thank you. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your love. And thank you for all that you truly are. I hope to hear from you all. Feel free to leave comments. Contact us on 0411 584 190. You can talk to me, we can book you in, or you might want to know a little bit more about the other services that we provide there. Either it's Martin Sorensen or beautiful Nadine Balchi, and we do a lot of work with Starseed children, also Starseed adults, the innovators, the alchemists, the healers, all of you beautiful souls that just need a really strong foundation, those that truly understand what it's like to be in the eye of the storm and make it through and then go all the way back again and do it again. Yet we are genuinely human and we make no excuse for that. So let's integrate your star connections. Let's integrate those gifts and those talents and learn to really balance the humanness in you in order to truly enjoy your experience, enjoy this life, and let go of the blocks, let go of the family, ancestral lineage that has been so toxic for so long in your blood, in your mind, in your veins. It really is that easy, and I can hold this space for you. With many blessings, beautiful souls, so much love and so much light. It has been an honor. Have a beautiful night, and look forward to being with you all again. Look out for more of our lives, and we love you. We love you and we adore you. Enjoy your brilliance. Much love and much light. Okay, bye.